I can see her lying back in her satin dress in a room where you do what you don't confess. Sundown, you better take care if I find you been creeping round my back stairs. Sundown, you better take care if I find you been creeping round my back stairs.
Hey YouTube, Sandy Frank here. Today's episode of Hobby Talk Tuesday. I was trying to think of a good thing to talk about, but since baseball season just ended, I kind of wanted the regular season. We're getting ready to go into the playoffs right now, but I wanted to do my little season of baseball review. And I was looking through cards that I'm thinking about sending in to get graded once PSA opens things back up. And it got me thinking, wow, a lot of these guys had some really great years. And I wanted to show some cards of players that had great years this past year. And I'm excited to see how they do next year. And I didn't want to talk about NFTs and anything like that. I want to talk about baseball cards. So here we go. So first I want to talk about Ronald Cunha. Now, he was injured for most of the year, but I thought he had a really good year of the time he was out there. And I thought he had kind of done a little poorer the past couple years than he started off as. But this past year, he started showing signs that he is really as good as we think he is. So hopefully he'll be back 100% next year. So I'm excited to see what he does to build on this past year. This player, he has not gotten to the big leagues yet, but Bobby Witt Jr., he had an amazing year in the minor leagues and hit a lot of home runs. And I would almost guarantee you, especially since Topps, this is their last year in 2022, will be their last year of making baseball cards, that he is going to have rookie cards and everything next year. And I fully expect him to be in the big leagues next year. Had a great year in the minors. Here's a player that you guys probably don't care that much about, but me as a Rangers fan, very excited about Jack Leiter. He was our number one pick, number 2 pick overall, and I just want to throw him in here because he had an amazing year also in college baseball. And he didn't enter the year as like the number 1 pitcher, but by the time draft time came, he ended up being the first pitcher taken. So pretty excited about that. Jared Kelenic. Now this is a player that I'm very interested to see how he does his second year. He had some struggles this first year, but they sent him down to the minors. It seemed like he was able to figure out some things and look pretty good once he came back. And I'm very interested to see what he can do this upcoming year. Plus, Seattle is going to be a team to watch. I know he's in a Mets uniform here, but he's on Seattle now, and I think he's going to have a great year. Bran Woodruff, of course, the year that this card came out, I think it was 2018, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, 2018. Seemed like I would get his autographs all the time, and I wasn't that happy about it, but man, has he turned out to be a great pitcher. And I'm mainly just using this card to say what an amazing job the Milwaukee Brewers pitching staff did as a whole. I mean, unbelievable year this year. And he was one of the main reasons for that. But also, he had Peralta on that pitching staff, and also, I think it's Peralta. Maybe I'm getting the name wrong. But also, you have Josh Hader, unbelievable pitcher out of the bullpen, and Corbin Burns had some unbelievable games as well. So this is kind of just a representation of that entire pitching staff. Kyle Schwarber, there's a player that I kind of, didn't follow much of, but he had a really great year this year. Was hitting a lot of home runs, and end up with the Red Sox. So we'll see if he gets through the wild card, and we might get to see what he does in the postseason this year. This player, not sure how he ended up, but for a while there, he was really doing well in his rookie year. Jazz Chisholm plays for, I believe he's for Miami. So, really good up and young coming player. This player, he was injured most of the year, but man, you look at his stats, he had an unbelievable year this past year. If you bring his stats out to a full season, he would have been in the talks for MVP for sure. Luis Robert, he got off to a little bit of a slow start, got injured, but man, he closed the season super strong. And I can't wait to see what he does next year. And the White Sox are going to be really good as well. And this player, he had a really good year, and it's kind of stayed in the shadows a little bit. You don't hear much about Rafael Devers, but man, did he have a monster year. Tons of RBIs and home runs, great average. He's doing everything you could have dreamed of him being as a hitter for the Red Sox there. And again, he'll be in the postseason, in the wild card. This is a player, since I'm a Rangers fan, I got to watch lots of games with Adalberto Garcia. He had a great year, hit over 30 home runs, was on a terrible team, but showed a lot of good upside. I'm very excited about his future here with Texas. Made the All-Star team, unbelievable defensive player. This is a guy to keep an eye on for this next year as well. See if he can do a repeat of this rookie year. And he might end up winning Rookie of the Year. Who knows? This player for the Dodgers, he won 20 games this year in an era where that's like unheard of for pitchers to win 20 games. Julio Urias, another player that he was a rookie a few years ago, but didn't really hear much about until this year. He really exploded this year with Dodgers, and mainly because he stayed healthy. Here's another player that, similar to Luis Robert, his season was cut short with injury. Mike Trout, of course, the GOAT of the modern era, really. But if you look at his sample size that he'd played this year, he had over 1,000 ops, I think he hit 333, just like was having an unbelievable year, one of his best years ever. And his season got cut short with injury. So I can't wait to see Trout, make sure he gets healthy from his injuries last year. And if him and Ohtani can be healthy together for a year, we say that every year, don't we? It'd be really interesting to see what the Angels could do with all that talent. Here's a player another one that kind of flies under the radar, but had an unbelievable year. Teoscar Hernandez. If it wasn't for Teoscar Hernandez, Vlad Jr. would have came really close to getting the Triple Crown. But Teoscar actually had more RBIs than Vlad Jr. this year. Great, and he hit 300, over 300 for most of the year. I think he tailed off at the very end, but had an unbelievable season. This guy, just a huge cog in that Toronto Blue Jays lineup. That's going to be a tough team next year for sure. This player, probably the one, if he didn't get injured this year, he would have put together maybe the greatest ever season for a starting pitcher. Was just so dominant. You look at some of the stats that he put up this year, it was just unbelievable. So far above any other pitcher, it's crazy. Jacob DeGrom. I hope he comes back from his injuries next year strong, but he really opened some eyes this past year about what an amazing pitcher he is. Here's a player for the Tampa Bay Rays who had an unbelievable season, and they brought up Juan DeFranco, who was long time the #1 prospect in baseball, and he showed why this year. His final stats aren't going to be eye-popping, but he had an unbelievable rookie year. He was doing things that not even Mickey Mantle had done before. The most, I think he ended up breaking the record for most consecutive games on base, getting on base for a player under 21 or something like that. So his future is extremely bright, and definitely a good player to keep an eye on next year. See what he can do in a full year. This player, he did stay healthy the whole year, and man, did he open eyes. I didn't really know much about Cedric Mullins coming into this year. I do know that I was lucky and pulled a few of his autos his rookie year, but to me it wasn't really a special autograph, but man, did he put together a great year. Hit over 300, went 30-30, over 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases. Unbelievable season. And now these are I'm really happy I got these cards when he was a rookie. I think they're 2019, yeah. So 2019, he had a bunch of his autos in that product. This player, older player, I mean, not that old really. I mean, he's probably under 30 still. But Bryce Harper, he put together a huge season for the Phillies, and there are talks of him possibly winning MVP. Just put together a monster year. One of his finest years that he's put together. And plus, he's got all this power, great on base. I mean, he gets walked all the time. And he put it all together this year, I think. Put together a fantastic year. Was really good defensively as well. This player, maybe you might think Juan Soto wasn't that great this year. His team wasn't that great. But, man, Juan Soto had a monster season. And there's been some articles you can read on what a historic season that Juan Soto had. I mean, just among the all-time baseball greats of what kind of season that he had this past year. And you wouldn't even have known it. But this guy is so great. Just considering what a slow start he had, he ended up, in the long run, putting together one of the finest seasons ever. This player, so good, so young. I don't know what happened to the Padres, man. They have so many good players on that team and just could not compete in that division. I mean, you're playing a division with two teams that won over 106 games this past year with the Dodgers and the Giants. So maybe that was it, but Tatis put together a fantastic year. I believe he led the National League in home runs with 42. He's just a great young player. Continues to show that. Now we're getting to the last two here. Both of them from the American League. This player, Vlad Jr., he basically was chasing down Triple Crown this whole year. Unbelievable season. He ended up with 48 home runs, hit over 300. What a phenomenal season Vlad Jr. put up. And he's only like 22 years old. So the future very, very bright there in Toronto. And it was really awesome to see Vlad Jr. put it all together in this past year. And then the number one player that really opened my eyes and opened baseball's eyes and just exploded this year, Shohei Ohtani. What can you say about Shohei Ohtani? Was just unbelievable. Hit 40, maybe 46 home runs. He did a great job pitching. He was by far the Angels' best starting pitcher this past year. Had a great ERA, strikes out tons of batters per 9 innings. And, of course, what he did at the plate was just epic. Just monster year. I hope he has another really good year next year. I'd love to see what him and Trout can do as a team together, healthy. Be very interesting. So that is my review of Baseball 2021. I hope you enjoyed this. Guys, put down in the comments any players. I know there's tons of good players this past year that I didn't mention. Put down in the comments who you thought were some players that opened eyes this past year, and what do you think? Are they going to have big years next year or what? All right, stay tuned for more videos later.